ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ। ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਚੱਕਰ ਚਿਹਨ ਅਰ ਬਰਨ ਜਾਤ ਅਰ ਪਾਤ ਨਹਿੰ ਜੀਹ ਰੂਪ ਰੰਗ ਅਰ ਰੇਖ ਭੇਖ ਕੋਹੂ ਕਹਿ ਨ ਸਕਤ ਕੀਹ। ਅਚਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਨਭਉ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਸ਼ ਅਮਿਤ ਓਜ ਕਹਿਚੈ ਕੋਟ ਇੰਦਰ ਇੰਦਰਾਨ ਸਾਹੇ ਸਾਹਾਨ ਗਨਿਚੈ। ਤ੍ਰਿਭਵ ਮਹੀਪ ਸੁੰਦਰ ਅਸੁਰ ਨੀਤ ਨੀਤ ਬੰਤਰਨ ਕਹਿਤ ਤੋਐ ਸਰਬ ਨਾਮ ਕਥੈ ਕਵਨ ਕਰਮ ਨਾਮ ਬਰਨਤ ਸਮਤ। ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਖੜਗ ਕੋ ਕਰੋ ਸੋ ਹਿਤ ਚਿਤ ਲਾਏ ਪੂਰਨ ਕਰੋ ਗਿਰੰਥ ਏਹ ਤੁਮ ਮੋਹਿ ਕਰਹੁ ਸਹਾਏ। ਮੂਕ ਊਚਰੈ ਸ਼ਾਸਤਰ ਖਟ ਪਿੰਗ ਗਿਰਨ ਚੜ ਜਾਏ ਅੰਧ ਲਖੈ ਬਦਰੋ ਸੁਨੈ ਜੋ ਕਾਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਾਏ। ਕਹਾਂ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਛ ਹਮਾਰੀ ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤਿਹਾਰੀ। ਹਮ ਨ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਲੀਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ। ਕਹਾਂ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਛ ਹਮਾਰੀ ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤਿਹਾਰੀ। ਹਮ ਨ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਲਿਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਧੰਤਾ ਦੇ ਯੋਗ ਹਾਂ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਅਕਾਲੀ ਰੱਬੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਜਾਪ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਲੜੀਵਾਰ ਕਥਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਵੇਸ਼ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, we are blessed to be sitting in the ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ listening to the katha ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ of Sri Jaap Sahib, the Akali Bani of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji ਕਲਗੀਧਰ ਪਿਤਾ। ਪਿਛਲੇ ਪਰਿਕਰਮਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਾਪ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਛਪੈ ਛੰਦ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੀ ਕਥਾ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। In the previous parikrams, in the previous katha vichara, we have listened to the first Mool Chapai Chand of Sri Jaap Sahib. Then we had started Bhajang Priyat Chand and we had talked about Namastong Akali. The last session we talked just about the word Akali. Okay, how there is such a huge philosophy, such a huge siddhant that's hidden within this word Akali. Because when it comes to Dasam Gurbani, and when it comes to Gurbani in general, the siddhant of Akal and Kal has been misunderstood by our community. Guru Sahib takes the two forms of Paramatma, one, that formless Paramatma, and then second, that Paramatma that comes in a form, and does the ustat and the vichara of that Paramatma. So let's go through the next panktiyan in this chant. Sadh Sangat ji, apna man birti ekagar karo. Let's come together and say Satnam Sri Vaheguru Sahib Ji. Satnam Sri Vaheguru Sahib Ji. Bhajang Priyat Chand, ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਛੰਦ ਹੈ ਭੁਜੰਗ ਪ੍ਰਿਆਤ the naam hai. The name of the chant is called Bhujang Priyat. Like last time we talked, Bhujang means a snake, Priyat means the chaal of a snake, or a chaal in general. Bhujang Priyat means the chaal of the snake. This chant will follow the chaal of the snake What that means, it will go left, it will go right, it will slither up and down, and this will be the child of this chand. Namastwang Akali. Namas means namaskar. Twang means ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ. ਤੇ ਹੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, ਮੇਰੀ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ. ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਐਸਾ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਹੈ. This is one word, namaskar, that allows our egos to surrender. When we namaskar, when we bow down, we are effectively surrendering. When we go to Guru Kar and we bow down before Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, we bow down before the Sadh Sangat, is symbolizing that we are nothing. ਕਿ ਹੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੀ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਤਿਕਾਰਯੋਗ ਹੋ. You are our everything. And for that reason we bow down. Some people will do a dandot. Dandot. Dandot means dande wang ot lani. Dandot. Dandot bandhan namaskar. Dandot bandhan means कि एक ऐसा namaskar where someone lays down like a danda, like a stick in front of Maharaj. There's one shabad in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj that comes to mind. Dandot bandhan anakabar. ਸਰਬ ਕਲਾ ਸਮਰਤ ਹੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Why? Because ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਲਾ ਦੇ ਸਮਰੱਥ ਹੋ. You are the master of all kala, of all creativity, of all powers. Dandot bandhan anikabar. Anikabar. Bar means ਵਾਰੀ, ਅਨੇਕ means countless. ਅਨੇਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜਾਪ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੈ, in this chant in particular, you will see Maharaj bowing down countless times. Why? Because once you bow down to Maharaj, you can't stop bowing down, because your ego will rise up again. Once you bow down to Maharaj and you say, Maharaj, to see you, the next moment you come out of those doors, you go home, then the ego sparks up again. The ego sparks up again. And to kill the ego again, you need to bow down one more time. Then again you come back up, again the ego will spark. This ego, the remedy to the ego is doing namaskara. Is namaskara over and over. Some people say, why is Jaap Sahib so repetitive? Well, our actions of our ego is so repetitive. Every morning we get up and we act the same way. We do the same things in our ego. We change our fields. We leave behind our previous lives. We come into this Amritari life. And then still we carry it along with our ego. Before we used to say, yeah, there's no rapper like me, there's no dancer like me, there's no whatever we were doing before. And now we say there's no Gyani like me, there's no Kirtani like me, there's no Amritari like me, Baki sare aimi hain. That's the mentality our ego produces. Bhagavad Ravidas ji illustrates our mentality. They illustrate our ego and they say, Hum bad kab kuleen, hum pandit, hum jogi sannyasi. They say, what does our buddhi do? What does our mat do? What does our mind do? What does our ego do from time to time? Once it enters this field of spirituality, it doesn't leave us. Instead, it takes a new form. Our ego says, Hum bad kab. There's no kabi like me. There's no poet like me. Kuleen. There's no one from Changa Kul like me. Hum bad kab kuleen. Hum pandit. There's no Vidwan like me. Pandit means Vidwan, scholar. Hum jogi sannyasi. There's no jogi sannyasi like me. There's no japi tapi like me. There's no one that does Panch Granthi like me. There's no one that does Simran as long as me. This is the mentality our ego produces within our mind. Even if we don't say in our lips, even if we don't say this with our lips, inside there's a voice box that's continuously producing these thoughts. ਗਿਆਨੀ ਗੁਣੀ ਸੂਰ ਹਮਦਾਤੇ ਇਹ ਬੁੱਧ ਕਬਿ ਨਾ ਨਾਸੀ। ਭਗਤ ਰਵਿਦਾਸ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬੁੱਧੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਨੀ, this type of intellect ਇਹ ਕਦੀ ਖਤਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਨਾਸ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ। ਇਹ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਗੁਣੀ ਸੂਰ ਹਮਦਾਤੇ, ਮੇਰੇ ਵਾਂਗ ਕੋਈ ਸੂਰਮਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੇਰੇ ਵਾਂਗ ਕੋਈ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਨਹੀਂ। This is the state of our ego. Now to kill this ego, we have to beat it with repetitiveness. Someone says, Jaap Sahib, why is Maharaj saying the same thing over and over? Well, the ego is saying the same thing over and over again. That's why Maharaj is doing namastwang, namaskar over and over again to kill this ego. It's for us to kill our ego. Maharaj has no kalank. Maharaj is perfect. ਅਪੁੱਲ ਗੁਰ ਕਰਤਾਰ, ਗੁਰੂ ਕਰਤਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਅਪੁੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਕੋਈ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਹੈ। So for that reason, Guru Sahib is creating such a medicine, such a prescription, that every morning we wake up, we read this Bani, we learn how to do Namaskara over and over and over again. So one day this ego doesn't stand back up. So one day this ego stays at the floor. So one day this ego stays at the Charan of Maharaj. ਨਮਸਤਵੰ ਅਕਾਲੇ, ਹੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਹੇ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, ਮੇਰੀ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ। ਤਵੰਗ means to you, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਕਾਲੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਰਹਿਤ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੌਤ ਤੋਂ ਰਹਿਤ ਹੋ। ਰਹਿਤ means without. This ada in the beginning, it's a negation. The khedavachik. Ada means without. ਰਹਿਤ. ਕਾਲੇ, kal means time. Kal means maya. Kal means that formed swaroop that we see all around us. Maharaj, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਮਸਤਵੰ ਅਕਾਲੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ you're outside of that world, you're outside of that game of time. ਨਮਸਤਵੰ ਕਿਰਪਾਲੇ, ਹੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਮੇਰੀ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਰਪਾਲੇ। Krip means kirpa, mercy. Ale means ਘਰ. This word is a combination of two words. Kripale means kripa de kar. The word Ale you will see in different places. For example, Himalaya Pradesh. We say Himalaya in Desi Boli, but Himalaya kehande hain. In the western area, you will hear the Himalayan mountains. Himalaya. Him means barf, ice. Allah means kar. Himalaya means barf da kar. So Allah, Dayal. I'm just giving you different words with the same Allah in it, the same word in it to give you the context of the word. Another example is Dayal. 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 Dayadakar. The house of compassion. In the same way, Namastwang Kripale. Hey Maharaj, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ। Why ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਘਰ? Well, when we go home, let's say we were on a long days of work or we're traveling, ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਆਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਘਰ ਜਾਏਂਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੁੱਖ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏਗਾ। There is a certain ask that we carry, a certain desire we carry in our mind, that even if we're traveling, working really hard, let's say we're outside for long periods of time, we always have this ask inside of us, it's okay, once I go home, I'll be able to rest. It's hard to rest outside somewhere. It's hard to rest in other places, but it's easy to rest at home. A person just feels more comfortable, feels more secure. A person just feels more comfortable at home. ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਿਰਪਾਲੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਹੋ। When you walk into this house of kirpa, then it is that satisfaction that we get from like coming to our own house. ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ, you're always blessing us with your grace. You're always blessing us with your blessings. Hey Maharaj. And ਇਹ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, that we're all gathered here today, we're all listening to the Katha Vichara today of Gurbani. ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਛੋਟੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. This is the nishani of kirpa on our heads. This is the nishani that we have entered the house of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. This is the nishani that Guru Sahib has brought us into their kirpa de kar. Why? So that they can do mera upon us. They can bless us with their Gurbani. They can bless us with their Sikhi. They can bless us with their Saat Sangat. Namastang Arupe. ਹੁਣ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ हे परमात्मा तू अरूपे आ तू रूप तो ਰਹਿਤ ਹਾਂ ਅਰੂਪੇ remember the add as negating the add as negating ਨਿਖੇਧਵਾਚਕ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੇਰਾ ਰੂਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੁਣ ਦੋ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਮਾਇਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਓਕੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਿੰਨ ਗੁਣ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਸਤ ਚਿਤ ਆਨੰਦ ਇਹ ਵਿਦਵਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਥਨ ਹੈ this is defined by certain vidwans from certain traditions and it agrees upon Sikh philosophy, so as Sikh pracharaks we use it as well to explain what Paramatma is. Paramatma has three elements: Sat, Chit, Anand. Sat means that Prabhu, that Paramatma will always be Satya, will always be existing within those three forms of time: past, present, future, and will always exist outside of that time as well. They're always in existence. Our bodies aren't Sat. Why? Because they exist today, but they might not exist tomorrow. They exist today, but they might have not existed 50, 60 years ago. So therefore, they're very temporary. They feel very permanent. Our life here feels very permanent. Our career feels very permanent. But think about it. This career that we're pursuing, it might not have existed before the Industrial Revolution. It might not have existed 200, 300 years ago. Some careers come and go. New careers are being added, and some careers are being taken away. That means careers are not sat either. They're not going to stay here forever. But we work so hard in our lives. We go through school, high school, college, university, master's, PhD, to obtain some sort of credit, to obtain some sort of credentials that we are a part of this career. We are a so and so in this career. But that career is not sat. This house we work so hard for. This cars we work so hard for. This family we work so hard for. Nothing is sat. Paramatma is sat. Paramatma will always exist. Chit means chetanta. Chetanta means consciousness. Everywhere that we see, there's consciousness, and that consciousness belongs to Paramatma. The Anand. Ananda means that bliss. Ananda means that Anandamay Sarup. Paramatma jira Sarup hai nahi, Paramatma jira Roop hai, it's of Anand, it's of bliss. Okay? So these three guns are attributed to Nirgun Parameshwar. Now, when Paramatma takes the form of Sadgun, when Paramatma uses their Shakti, uses their Maya, and they manifest themselves into this creation that we see around us, then they add on two more guns. Okay, so Satchitanand, that's one. Then they add on two more, which is Nam and Roop. Guru Sahib is saying here, Namastang Arupe. Nam and Roop. Nam means the name. For example, you have here a object. Let's say it's your glasses, or it's a cup. Let's say it's a cup. The name of that object is called a cup. Alongside the name, it also has a roop. It also has a form. The form of the cup is how it is, cylinder, hollow in the middle. That's the form. So these two things, if you take them away, take the name away, cup, and take away the roop, take away its form, what are you left with? Satchitanand. That's why Maharaj said, "Jyon supna ar pekhna, aise jag ko jaan, इनमें का साचो नहीं नानक बिन भगवान ਭਗਵਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਇੱਥੇ ਸੱਚੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਭਗਵਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾ ਇਸ ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸੱਤਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ without Paramatma nothing is sat. That makes sense because if you take away the name of the object and the form of the object, all you're left with is sat. So the only reality there is Paramatma. Guru Sahib is saying here, Namastang Arupe. हे महाराज ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ रूप नहीं है क्योंकि दरअसल in reality that रूप that we see of that cup is mithya. Mithya means a illusion. Now what does the illusion mean? Having an illusion does not mean there's no feelings attached to it. Having an illusion does not mean it won't be real to a person, because illusion is very real in the moments playing out. A illusion is very real in the moments playing out. You can't come to someone and say, hey, it's just an illusion, back away from it. No, because at that time period, that illusion is very real to that person. That illusion is their existence. That illusion is their reality in that moment. I'll give you an example. Someone walks into the forest. It's early morning. It's not too much sunlight outside. It's not dark either. It's early morning. They walk into the forest and see about 50 meters away, 20, 30 feet away, they see a snake. Or what seems to be a snake. It's actually a rope. But because of the time period, it's neither dark and it's neither daytime. The rope is pulling a mirage. The rope is pulling a illusion and presenting itself as a snake. Bhagavad Ravidas, he uses this example in their Gurbani. They say, Raj Pajang Jaise Prasang Hai. Raj means Rassi, Pajang means sap, snake. Prasang means a story that's been coming down for centuries. If it was fully daytime, then the person would have realized, hey, 50 meters away, 30 feet away, that's just a rope. It's not a snake. There will be no illusion that will be made. If it was fully night, the person would pass by and not even notice that there was a rope there in the first place. But because it's in between, because it's between two, because it's in duality, there's an illusion that's presented. And that illusion is called Roop. The illusion is called Nam. Name. The illusion of that snake, of that rope, presenting itself as a snake, that mirage, now brings emotions, it brings fear, it brings pa to that person's heart. So now the person who's looking at that, what seems to be a snake, the person can't walk forward anymore. They said, you know what? That might be a snake up there. If it is a snake, I'm in big trouble. I won't be able to pass that area. That roop of the snake is just a mirage. It's just an illusion. In that same way, everything that we see around us is just a snake. The rope is Paramatma. That's reality. The rope is Paramatma. The snake is the illusion. The snake is the Maya. The snake is the Shakti Paramatma presenting itself. ਹੁਣ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨਮਸਤੰ ਅਰੂਪੇ ਕਿ ਹੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਹੇ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਮੇਰੀ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਤੂੰ ਅਰੂਪੇ ਆ ਤੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਮਿਥਿਆ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਹੈ ਅਸਲ ਤੱਤ ਤੂੰ ਹੀ ਆ In reality, that real existence that we see around us is Paramatma. ਨਮਸਤੰ ਅਨੂਪੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਫਰਮਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿ ਹੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂ ਤੂੰ ਅਨੂਪੇ ਆ ਅਨਉਪੇ ਅਨ means without ਅਨ ਨਿਖੇਧਵਾਚਕ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਉਪੇ means ਉਪਮਾ ਹੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਤੂੰ ਅਨੂਪੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੇਰੀ ਉਪਮਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਉਪਮਾ means use something to compare. For example, I would say, okay, you look beautiful as the moon. ਉਪਮਾ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਪਮਾ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਦਈਏ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਤੇਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੁਖ ਹੈ ਤੇਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੁਖੜਾ ਉਹ ਚੰਦ ਵਾਂਗ ਸੋਹਣਾ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਉਪਮਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ So it's comparative. I'm using the moon to compare your face and say you look beautiful as the moon. ਪਰ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਵਾਂਗ ਕੋਈ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਸ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ। ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ, there is no one like you. Because there is no one like you, who should I compare with? ਜੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਵਾਂਗ ਕੋਈ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ, ਮੈਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੇਰੀ ਕਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਪਮਾ ਦੇਵਾਂ? ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਚੰਦ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਚੰਦ ਵਾਂਗ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਚੰਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਲੰਕ ਲੱਗਿਆ। I can't compare you to the moon because the moon has afghans. The moon has some negatory qualities. It has holes over the moon. The moon doesn't come out when the sun comes out. There's negative qualities to the moon as well. So anything we compare to in this life, they always have some afghans. ਇਸ ਸ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਵਗੁਣ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਉਪਮਾ ਦੇ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਵਾਂਗ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਨੂਪੇ, ਹੇ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਤੂੰ ਅਨੂਪੇ ਆ, ਭਾਵ ਕਿ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੋਈ ਉਪਮਾ ਨਹੀਂ। You cannot compare Maharaj to anyone else. ਹੁਣ ਇਹਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਅਰਥ ਵੀ ਸੁਣ ਲਓ। An means ਵੈਰੀ, an means ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ, ਅਨੂਪੇ ਕਿ ਹੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵੈਰੀ ਵੀ ਉਪਮਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਤੈਨੂੰ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਵੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਉਪਮਾ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਹੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਗੁਣ ਗਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ। ਅਨ means ਵੈਰੀ, ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ, enemies. ਉਪੇ means ਉਪਮਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਹੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਹੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ, ਹੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਤੇਰੀ ਉਪਮਾ ਵੈਰੀ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸਨ। When Guru Sahib fought their 14 wars with the Pahadi Raje and the Turks, ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ 14 ਜੰਗਾਂ ਲੜੀਆਂ, ਪਹਾੜੀ ਰਾਜੇ ਵੀ ਉਪਮਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੀਰ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੀਰ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨੀ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਆ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਕਲਾ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਢਾਹ ਸੱਟ ਪਿਆ। ਤੇ Maharaj is so amazing that they have that much Shakti in them that they're destroying us. So even varies with the upma of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. Anupe, हे परमात्मा ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵੈਰੀ ਵੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਵੈਰੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ। Everyone in this world is doing namaskar to Maharaj in their own way. How so? We will say that, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚੋਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, how are the bad people in this world remembering Paramatma? Well, they are. Because ਜਿਹਨੇ ਚੋਰੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਫਿਰ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਚੋਰੀ ਸਫਲ ਹੋ ਜੇ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੁਕ੍ਰਿਤ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਵੀ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਧਿਆਨਾ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦੇਵਤੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਉਂਦੇ, ਦੈਂਤ ਵੀ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ। ਦੇਵਤੇ and ਦੈਂਤ both remember Paramatma, both do namaskara to Paramatma. Whether they are doing good actions or whether they're doing bad actions, that's regardless, because everyone's looking to get the support of Paramatma. ਇੱਥੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਲਿਹਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਮਾਪਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਜੀ। Today we'll be cutting our katha a little bit shorter than normal. Das isn't feeling very good today, so we'll be ending our vichara here. Hopefully from the upcoming katha darbars that we'll have, we'll try to go through much more faster. So the main siddhants, the main philosophies are laid out already. So now from beginning onwards, we'll be going much faster. We'll be going through the padarts, the akriyarts of each word, and just going through it. And hopefully this katha will become a bhakti session for all of us. Jithe we're singing the praises of Maharaj and we're contemplating them. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਸੋ ਅਖੀਰਲੀਆਂ ਆਪਾਂ 2 ਪੰਕਤੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਪਾਠ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੁਣेंगे, ਫਿਰ ਫਤਿਹ ਬੁਲਾएंगे ਜੀ। ਨਮਸਤੰ ਅਕਾਲੇ ਨਮਸਤੰ ਕਿਰਪਾਲੇ ਨਮਸਤੰ ਅਰੂਪੇ ਨਮਸਤੰ ਅਨੂਪੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।